Google Maps is perhaps one of the most useful and interesting services on the internet, whether you're using it to find your way around on holiday or virtually exploring places you'll likely never visit. There have been countless disturbing oddities and dark mysteries that have been discovered, from ominous Scientology bases and obscured prisons to islands that seemingly don't exist and murderers on the run. Let's investigate. If you enjoy internet mysteries and generally disturbing content, feel free to subscribe and turn on notifications for more content like this. If you're interested in supporting the channel, you can become a Ko-fi member or a channel member to gain access to uncut videos and other perks, or you can leave me a tip by clicking the thanks under this video. Thanks to anyone who considers this. If you search Trementina base circles on Google Maps, you'll see two overlapping circles with diamond shapes in the middle that I guess could be mistaken for crop circles. Which obviously they're not, but there is a bizarre link with aliens, as this is actually the location of a Scientology base. I'm sure you've heard of Scientology. If not, I don't have the time to dive into the absolute insanity of it all here. I'd recommend you find a whole separate video on it. Anyway, Scientologists believe that aliens, particularly a galactic overlord named Xenu, who is king of the planets, have directly influenced the development of humanity. The base was built with the purpose of archiving the founder of Scientology, L. Ron Hubbard's, writings, films, and recordings, and his texts have been engraved on steel tablets and encased in titanium capsules in tunnels underground. The overlapping circles are supposed to be a symbol to mark a return point for Scientologists to find Hubbard's works in the future when they travel from other places in the universe, or in the event of Armageddon on Earth that wipes out humanity. Tim Gallagher, ex-police chief of the Las Vegas, New Mexico Sheriff's Department, is believed to have been the only non-Scientologist to have ever visited the base. He was given a tour by church officials in the late 1990s after rumours that the base contained cameras in trees and hidden sharpshooters waiting to kill any trespassers. He didn't see anything like that, though acknowledged that his visit was planned in advance, so of course they would have had time to hide any potential dark side. He described seeing several machines that were copying Hubbard's works in the tunnels, living quarters nearby which comprised of a small room, kitchen and living area, with no internet, no phone, no TV or computers. Tim told the Daily Mail, "It did feel like they were hiding something. I wasn't allowed to go into certain areas. I know when people are lying to me. I can tell from their body language and voice they were concealing something. I was suspicious of it, the whole thing." John Sweeney, a BBC journalist, was told by ex-Scientologists that the Alien Space Cathedral was built deep underground and cost millions of dollars. David Miscavige is the current leader of Scientology, whose wife Shelley vanished from the public eye in August 2007. The last time she was seen in public was when she was escorted to her father's funeral. She was said to have visibly changed after her husband had returned from a trip that she had joined him on but left early, apparently looking cowed. The Church of Scientology refuses to comment on Shelley's whereabouts, despite at least 2 missing persons reports being filed with the LAPD, which were closed within hours as unfounded. This has sparked various rumours, including that she is being held against her will, or even that she's dead. It's a very worrying but fascinating mystery. If anyone's interested, I can make a whole separate video on it. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see that. Anyway, while some wonder if she is in a Scientology compound in Crestline, or in what's known as The Hole, a detention building in Riverside County, California, there has been some speculation that she might even be at the Trementina base. Obviously, there's no evidence to back up this suggestion, but considering the insane shenanigans of the Church of Scientology and Tim Gallagher's suspicions, it does seem that there is more to this place than meets the eye. Portlaoise Prison is a maximum security prison in Ireland that is home to some of the country's most dangerous criminals. It was built in the 1830s and is one of the oldest prisons that is still operating in the country today. It has a capacity of 399, and as of 2009, its population was 119, including members of the Provisional Irish Republican Army and other illegal paramilitary and designated terrorist organisations. Throughout the 1970s and 80s, it gained a reputation for its particularly harsh treatment of prisoners, resulting in prisoners going on hunger strikes, hoping for a public inquiry into the conditions they were being kept in. These allegations and the subsequent protests weren't unheard of at the time, though. In the 1940s, Sean McCoffey, an IRA leader, refused to wear prison clothes and spent nearly 5 years naked to protest the conditions he was kept in, which included him never being allowed out for fresh air or sunlight. In April 1946, he began a hunger strike and 10 days later refused to drink any water, causing his death on the 11th of May, the 23rd day of his protest. It's been noted over the years that the satellite images of the prison look a little off. In particular, the colours don't appear to match the surroundings, leading some to wonder if the map has intentionally not been updated to make it harder for anyone to plan an escape from the prison. This wouldn't be beyond the realm of possibility, considering a number of prisoners have attempted to escape in the past and a few have been successful. For example, in 1902, James Lynchahorn, who had been convicted after attempting to murder a woman named Agnes MacDonald, escaped and fled to America. And in 1974, 19 inmates who were in prison due to their affiliation with the IRA escaped in broad daylight. Three years ago, a Reddit user posted a screenshot on the Google Maps Oddities subreddit showing a satellite image from Google Maps of a beach in Uilan, Russia. There's a large red patch at the shoreline that looks like it might be blood, and OP speculates it might have been a whale. Another user doubted this, saying if it was a whale there would be more of it. In their opinion, it looked more like industrial waste, and so their best guess was that the red patch was the end of a waste pipe. OP stated in response that the town doesn't appear to have any major industry at all, implying that this is an unlikely suggestion. The red patch certainly does look like blood in my opinion, but it looks far too much to be from a human, so whether it's a whale or some other sea creature, it is probably from an animal of some kind. The photo on Google Maps now was updated in 2024, so this red patch is no longer visible. Until November 2012, you could go on Google Maps and find an island that doesn't exist. It was supposedly located in the South Pacific Ocean, between Australia and New Caledonia, and has appeared in various maps and nautical charts from as early as the 19th century. It was originally discovered in September 1774 when Captain James Cook, a British explorer and naval officer, was exploring the South Pacific Ocean. He named it Sandy Eye and included it in the map of the area that he published in 1776. 100 years later, a whaling ship also reported seeing the island, but hundreds of miles further east than the location James Cook had provided. Sandy Island was spotted again nearly 20 years later, and it was believed to be nearly 15 miles long and 3 miles wide. After later attempts at finding the island were unsuccessful, hydrographic charts began labelling the island with ED, meaning existence doubtful. In November 2012, scientists studying plate tectonics determined that the island didn't exist after sailing right through the area it was supposedly located and failing to find it. They also recorded ocean depths, which were never less than 4,300 feet, ruling out the possibility of the island lurking underwater. Google Maps subsequently removed the island, though there is a rise from the seabed still visible on the satellite view. No one knows for sure how James Cook or the crew of the whaling ship mistakenly thought that there was an island there. The most plausible theory seems to be that it was a pumice sea raft, which is a massive pumice from an underwater volcano that floated to the surface. On the 30th of July 2010, Leslie Todd Parvin was drinking with his acquaintances Edgar Lopez and Pablo Gutierrez Guzman when they got into an argument, which eventually got heated. Leslie ended up fatally shooting the other two men before fleeing the scene and heading to Louisiana. Witnesses had seen a green Kia minivan parked at the yard where the friends were drinking, and one provided a partial license plate number that was enough to link it to Leslie. Police decided to search his address on Google Maps and saw the minivan, which matched the description given by witnesses, parked in front of his house, which was further confirmation that the van belonged to Leslie and that he'd been at the scene of the crime. It was suspected that he had left Louisiana and driven to Texas to dispose of the van and destroy his gun. He also shaved his head, perhaps in an attempt to make himself less recognizable. His attempts at covering up the crime failed, as he was arrested after he returned home on the 19th of August. His neighbours were shocked by the allegations, and his father said murder would be very out of character for him, but in December the following year, he was found guilty and sentenced to 35 years in prison. Turned out the argument that Leslie had with his acquaintances occurred after he had paid Edgar $200 to have contact with him, and Edgar had backed out. Leslie had been in the military for 20 years and toured near Iraq and Afghanistan, and investigators believe his military career had caused his mental state to deteriorate, which had indirectly resulted in him snapping that day. Around 3 years ago, internet users noticed what appeared to be a flying rabbit on Google Street View. The most commonly shared image, taken in Poland, shows the rabbit a few meters in the air, which is bizarre considering the world record for the highest rabbit jump is 1.31 meters. If you look at the sequence of images, you first see the rabbit running towards the road, then it's in the middle, having already lost contact with the ground. Then a distorted image shows it at the other side of the car, before it appears to be launched into the air. The obvious explanation is that the rabbit was hit by the car, but it's not entirely clear how it ended up reaching such great heights, even if it started jumping as it was hit. The final image appears to show the rabbit landing on its back with its legs pointed up. Sadly, it was likely seriously injured after this incident, if it even survived. Gioino was a member of the Sicilian mafia group Stida, who had been involved in various criminal activities, from fraud and racketeering to extortion and murder. The Stida remained mostly rural and low profile until the 1980s, when it began expanding and moved into bigger cities. It gained more notoriety due to a war with the mafia in the early 1990s that led to over 300 deaths, notably an Italian magistrate named Rosario Livatino. Gioino was arrested in Barcelona in 1998 and sentenced to life in prison for various other mafia-related crimes, but he managed to escape from Rome in 2002 due to the commotion that ensued during the production of a film at the prison. The following year, he was given another life sentence for a murder that he committed years prior, leading him to be listed among Italy's most wanted gangsters. He was on the run for almost 20 years until he was finally arrested in December 2021 when he reportedly asked police, "How did you find me? I haven't even called my family for 10 years." Turns out he'd been spotted on Google Maps, chatting with another man outside a fruit and veg shop called El Huerto de Manu in Galapagos, Spain. Police thought one of the men resembled Gioino, and when they came across a listing for a nearby restaurant that featured a clearer photo of him in a chef's outfit, with a distinctive scar on the left side of his chin visible, they knew it was him. The Megalodon is an extinct species of giant mackerel shark that was estimated to be around 14 to 20 meters long. It existed around 23 to 3.6 million years ago, and possible reasons for its extinction include competition reducing the amount of food available, oceanic cooling due to the onset of the ice ages, and lowering of sea levels, resulting in less suitable nursery areas. Although there is no credible evidence to suggest that the Megalodon still exists today, many people think it is a possibility. I actually went pretty deep down this rabbit hole a couple of years ago, and I can't say I'm convinced, but it was a fascinating dive nonetheless. More than 80% of the ocean remains unexplored. To put this into perspective, this percentage is far greater than the surfaces of Mars and the Moon that have not been explored. This fact forms a basis for the theory that the Megalodon still exists today, with some proposing that it could be hanging around in the deepest areas of the ocean, such as the Mariana Trench, which has a depth of 10,935 meters below the surface. However, experts don't believe such a habitat would be suitable for such a big apex predator, because the Mariana Trench has mostly microscopic life that wouldn't be able to sustain it. There have been various purported sightings over the years, though none have been confirmed, so while this is an exciting, albeit terrifying theory that is more or less unfalsifiable, it is highly implausible. Still, a number of people believe they have found images of megalodons on Google Maps. Most of these sightings are probably whales, considering they are satellite images and not particularly detailed. Someone also created a My Maps to show a total of 7 somewhat recent sightings, most of which are in California. Here we have another similar mystery to the one discovered by the Redditor that we already covered. In 2007, internet users were shocked when they found an image of the Vermelho lake in Baghdad, Iraq, in which it was a bright red colour, leading some to believe it had been discoloured by blood. The lake is located just outside of Sadr City, and images from 2024 are much less alarming. It now appears to be the colour of a normal lake. The most popular, yet unconfirmed theory is that the lake turned red because there are a lot of slaughterhouses surrounding it, which is quite disturbing anyway, considering the lake is nearly 1 kilometre long. There was a similar occurrence in 2016 when a NASA satellite showed the waters of Lake Urmia in Iran turning from green to red in the space of less than 2 months. The colour change was attributed to the presence of algae and bacteria that had thrived as a result of the lake drying out and the salinity increasing. Although Lake Vermelho is not shrinking like Lake Urmia, it's possible that its colour change may have a similar explanation. The Laag nuclear fuel processing plant in Normandy has been in operation since 1976 and has treated spent nuclear fuel from various countries including France, Germany, Italy and Spain. While you can see the general structure of the site on Google Maps, it becomes pixelated when you zoom in, possibly due to the controversy surrounding its radioactive releases. Greenpeace have claimed that it dumps 1 million litres of liquid radioactive waste per day into the ocean, which is the equivalent of 50 nuclear waste barrels, resulting in pollution of local beaches. Official figures dispute this claim, and the deputy director of the site stated that it complies with regulations, but Greenpeace have been campaigning for the shutdown of the site since 1997, with activists creating roadblocks and chaining themselves to vehicles transporting materials to and from the site. Another similar blurred location is the Marcoule nuclear site, also located in France and constructed in 1952. Although decommissioning began after 2009, on the 12th of September 2011, there was an explosion in an oven used to melt metallic waste that killed one person and injured 4 others. It's not clear if this incident is related to the decision to blur the image on Google Maps. The final mystery we'll cover in this video is a little different to the others. It's actually more of a glitch in the Matrix story, but considering the OP of the post attempted to find this place on Google Maps to no avail, it's still somewhat relevant. A couple of years ago, a Reddit user made a post titled, "Me and some friends found a mysterious 19th century era fort that seems like some sort of backroom. We cannot find any trace or record of existence nor locate it at this time, as it has seemingly disappeared into thin air like it had never existed." The post read, "I live in a town with several 19th century era buildings, including a few Napoleonic forts, 4 known ones. They are well known to urban explorers and have thoroughly been explored and mapped, including one with several tunnels. When I was 16, me and my friends decided it would be a fun day out to go there. We had done this many times and knew the fort by heart, including all exits and entry points that had not been closed up by the council yet. We went in as usual and all seemed normal. We climbed around and had some fun before moving on to the tunnels. We decided to go through the most popular tunnel there, as it was the easiest to navigate and one of my friends was a bit claustrophobic. We had gone through this tunnel several times before, and so did many others, so it was very well mapped and usually opens up to just a big empty room with windows looking into the centre of the fort. This tunnel does fork off in 2 directions, but both lead to similar rooms. However, this time, for some reason, after taking a left at the fork like we usually did, as the room on that side was in a less decayed state, the tunnel opened up to something that to this day, me and my friends cannot explain nor replicate. We entered what at first seemed to be the usual room, but we quickly noticed that it was in a near-perfect state. No graffiti, no vandalism, no empty beer cans, charred floor from a campfire, nothing. It was like the place hadn't been touched since it had been converted into a hospital in World War II. We were very confused but decided to look around. We quickly noticed this was a completely different fort. We all thought that we had stumbled our way in and that it had somehow gone unnoticed by urban explorers in the area, and we found it by pure accident. With little hope, I tried looking up the coordinates, but unfortunately, as was often the case in these areas due to these forts essentially being buried, I couldn't get any GPS signal, which did not surprise me. We explored and speculated on the position of the untouched fort for the rest of the day, thinking we had scored gold, having found ourselves the dream hideout and hangout area. The tunnel was roughly 1 kilometre long, so we knew it couldn't be too far from the known location. After a great day exploring this urban explorer's wet dream, we packed up and left without any problems. We went through the tunnel and popped out the other end in the expected place. This is where it struck us. We took great care in noting our way back through the tunnel in order to find the fort again on our next visit. The route we took was the same as we always did. We had not accidentally deviated or anything. This was the exact same route we usually took. Me and a mate decided to quickly run back to it just to make sure. We arrived at the opening, and as usual, the tunnel opened up to the room we had earlier expected. Since then, my friends have tried numerous times to find the fort again. Unfortunately, I cannot take part in the search at the moment for personal reasons. I have, however, tried to find signs of it on Google Earth, but unlike its supposed neighbouring fort, it does not appear on there. All research I have done related to this does not seem to indicate the existence of this 5th fort that we saw. To this day, that fort remains some sort of glitch in the Matrix. I find abandoned buildings fascinating, so a story like this that combines abandoned buildings and the mystery of the place seemingly not existing after they first discovered it is particularly enthralling. Judging by OP's post history, it seems that they live in England, near Margate, which is a seaside town in Kent. Not that this would really help with locating the fort, as if OP can't find it again, in person or on Google Maps, there's not much hope for anyone else. But I guess there's always a tiny chance that someone watching this might have stumbled upon it themselves at some point. One of the comments suggested that OP went back in time, which obviously I don't personally believe, but it is certainly quite a bizarre finding. As someone who is shockingly unobservant, it's not that strange to me that they discovered this fort in the first place. I could easily visit a place 10 times and still never notice glaringly obvious things until someone else points them out. It is weird that OP's friends weren't able to find it again though, or that it didn't appear on maps when the fort next to it was on there. OP stated in the comments that they planned to check the place out again once they'd recovered from cancer, and they'd post an update if they found anything noteworthy. But they haven't posted on Reddit at all in 7 months now, and never mentioned the fort again, so hopefully they're doing okay and just haven't got round to going back yet. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts and theories in the comments, plus any other icebergs you'd like me to cover in the future. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing. Huge thank you to my Ko-fi members and channel members whose names are on screen now. I really appreciate your support. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time in a new video.